Hallelujah, baby. Finally. So we've got it going. We've got you going and we've got you stopping. At least you can move off and you can stop the motorcycle. So now we're going to go to the second phase. And this is where the fun actually starts now. The previous stuff I know was a bunch of blah, 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 but it's information that you have to have, right? So this stage now, what we're going to do is we're going to fire up the bike. We're going to pull off like we normally do. Nice like the walk, and using the clutch, feeling the friction point, getting our feet up. And then while we're going, we're going to pull in the clutch without touching brakes or anything. We're just going to pull in the clutch. We're going to put our foot underneath the shifter, push it up one, hard enough to go to second gear. We're going to release the clutch, and as we release the clutch, we're going to give it a bit of gas. But don't forget to take your foot off the shifter once you've moved it to that second gear. Don't hold your foot on the shifter, okay? So this is how it's going to be. Put it into gear, feel the friction point. Move it, put your feet up, pull the clutch in, shift it up here, let go, and let go your clutch. Okay, so now we're in second gear. Now we can do a little bit of riding because it's not going to feel so tight. It's going to freeze the bike up a little bit. But now you have to be very careful. You have to be extremely smooth with your accelerator. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a lot of shifting, just sitting down. But I always want you to make sure that you're sitting in the middle of the bike. There's no point sitting out here and trying to work the motorcycle because it's got no weight in the front, too much weight at the back. The bike's not going to be able to handle at all. So always sit in the middle of the bike, there, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to pull off again, put our feet up, change to second gear. Walk it, second gear. Third gear, fourth gear. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear. Okay, so now we've been shifting up. So as we wanted to speed up, we were shifting up, right? Now you're going to be shifting down. So the shifting down is just the reverse of what you've done, right? Watch it. Down and let go. Down and let go. Down and let go. Down and let go. Now I'm in first gear. Slow down. Slow down. Now I'm in first gear. Okay. So now we're going, and I want you to spend a bit of time, like you'll watch me, just sitting down, shifting gears up and down. Just speed up a little bit, slow down. So watch this for a little while, okay? Okay, so now we've got you shifting, sitting down. But in actual fact, you have to do everything standing up. Standing up should be, in actual fact, your strongest position on the bike. There's plenty of reasons for it. Number one is a lower center of gravity. Number two is that it gives you much more movement. Number three is that you have a lot more suspension. And number four is that your legs are the strongest part of your body. Use them. Also, when you're standing, you have to squeeze the bike with your knees. It's very important to squeeze the bike. If you don't hold the bike between your knees, every time you touch your accelerator or any of your brakes or anything, you're going to be either falling off the back or, you're going to want to fall over the front. So you have to squeeze the bike with your knees. And then when you take your foot off, you have to shift and then put your foot back on the peg. Take your foot off and shift and put it back on the peg. And that's how you do your shifting, okay? So basically we've got you going, right? You can do sitting and standing, going, starting and shifting gears. The next process we're going to go in is to cornering and turning. So to be able to turn the motorcycle is not like a car. If I want to go that way in my car, I turn the steering wheel and the car is automatically going to go that way. With a motorcycle, to go that way, we don't turn the steering wheel. You actually have to lean the bike for it to turn. But when you lean the bike to turn, there's a lot of factors that go into it. In other words, your body must be in the right position, you must be putting weight in the right position, you must be looking up ahead and stuff like that. So these are the things that we're basically going to be looking for. I'm not going to push hard to get into this because I just want you to learn to turn first, but the more you can actually emphasize all the techniques that goes into a turn, the better your turn will be. Okay, so now all the techniques that are involved in to do the cornering is that firstly, you have to be sitting in the middle of the bike. This is the sitting down. We're going to do it sitting down first. You have to be sitting in the middle of the bike, right? Secondly is that when you turn the bike over, in other words, when I want to turn to the left, I actually have to do a counterbalance with my body. So in other words, my body must go over to the right while I lean the bike over to the left. It's a counterbalance. And while you're counterbalancing, you've got to put weight on the outside footbed. Your head has to be over the triple clamp, and you have to be sitting in the middle of the bike so that you can put weight on front wheel and the back wheel so that they both have traction while doing it. Inside elbow will be down, outside elbow up is so that you can keep your shoulders parallel with the handlebars. You don't want your shoulders facing like this and the handlebars facing that way. And looking ahead, you have to look from that place to that place because you're going to get there in a real quick time. So you have to be looking ahead. You can't be looking down like this to be able to do the turns. So this is what it's going to look like. So what we do is we have it in about second gear because it'll make it easier, have a smooth throttle control and try and lean the bike over more and more. It'll give you steeper turns, right? But you have to practice cornering. It's extremely important. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it standing up. And to stand up, what you have to do, you have to squeeze with your knees to hold the bike and then lean the bike over. So you've got to do a counterbalance with your body as well. And it will look like this. Okay, so now that we've got this under control, I want to just mention to you that your body input determines on how the bike will perform. We're going to go back in a little bit to about the control input and how that controls the bike to be able to get it to perform, those 5 controls. But besides the 5 controls, you have your body input that determines on how it performs. So now I'm going to be doing around these circles a figure 8 in here around these cones, but when I go from one set of cones to another set of cones, I'm going to be accelerating and braking and then doing the cornering. So whenever I accelerate, my body's going to move forward, and when I brake, my body's got to move backwards. So I want you to watch my body input. So forward for my acceleration, back for my braking, and then my counterbalancing for my cornering. So put a lot of input into when you're riding the bike. Okay, so I don't know if you saw there, but I put my foot out a little bit, and we do that is to be able to keep weight up in the front and keep more weight so your front wheel can contract. But also the biggest thing is that in case the bike slides, that you can tap the ground and it will allow the bike to come back up again. Okay, so in other words, what happens is that if you have your foot over on the side like this, there, it's not going to help you if you tap the ground, because it's going to rip you off the bike. You have to keep it up front here, so if it taps the ground, it'll just do this to you. Right, so it's important, but don't worry about that leg at the moment. We just want to get you to be able to do the cornering. The next part that we're going to do now is we're going to do it standing. And obviously you can't put your foot out when you're standing. So this is the counterbalancing, and this is how the movement's going to look when you're standing, okay? Okay, so that is awesome. You guys are actually going now. You're moving around, you're shifting gears, and you're cornering. The biggest thing that I want to explain to you here now is how to use your clutch work. This is the most important part. That clutch. Okay, so right in the beginning I explained to you guys that the bike actually have 5 controls. It's the clutch, it's the shifter, it's the accelerator, it's the front brake, and the back brake. 5 controls. All 5 of those controls, every one of them makes the bike go faster. People say to me, how does the brakes make it go faster? Okay, I'll take your brakes off and you go around the track and see if you can go faster around the track without brakes. Yes, your brakes make you go faster. So all 5 of those controls make the bike go faster. All 5 of those controls actually make the bike go slower. Because if I'm pulling the clutch, your bike's not going anywhere. If I'm in the first gear, I'm only doing a certain speed. So all of them actually control to make it slower. And then all of them actually affects the suspension on the bike. But right now we are going to just talk about that clutch. It's extremely important that you understand that the clutch actually has 3 functions. One is for going and for stopping, the other one is for shifting gears, and the other one is for controlling the speed. So that it doesn't matter what gear you're in, I can put it into the power band and I can control my speed with my clutch. Extremely important. So this exercise that we're going to do around here is we're going to use all 5 of the controls, going through these codes, weaving through them as slow as we can while we're balancing ourselves and while we're looking ahead. So I guess you guys heard that I'm playing with the accelerator. That's to be able to keep the motor in the power band, and then I'm just controlling the feed with the clutch, right? So that's why the clutch is so important, and you have to be able to keep it in the power band. If I never kept it in the power band, if I gave it some gas at a certain time, there'll be not enough power there and the motor will stall on me and I will fall over it. So you guys are almost ready to go out on the trail. The only problem is that on the trail you're going to find like a little tree has fallen over, some little log that you need to cross over. So I just want to show you how to be able to cross over a log. And the next part is just a little bit of an uphill and a downhill, what you do to be able to get up and down the hills. So crossing over this log, what you have to do is, number one, you have to stand up. Remember I told you it gives you a lot more suspension, much more movement on the bike, lower center of gravity, it makes the bike more stable. Okay? And as you get to the log, you're just going to lean backwards just a little bit so it can lighten up the front and give it a little bit of gas. As the front wheel climbs over, you're going to shut off the gas and the back wheel will just roll over the log. So it's pretty easy to do it. I'm going to demonstrate it. You guys watch, okay? Okay, so I'm going to be standing up. I get to the log and then lean back a bit and off the gas. Okay, so we're going to go out on the outride now. And you guys are going to be safe. You're just going to follow me. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. You're going to have fun. But you're going to have a little bit of uphills or downhills that you need to go over, right? So what I'm going to show you is that we're just going to go over it sitting down, lean forward when you go up the hill, and when you come back down the hill, you lean backwards and just pull in your clutch and just hold your back brake. Don't worry about the front brake. But forward, when you're going up the hill, make sure you're in the right gear, that you're not in too high a gear, that you have enough power so that you can keep momentum going up the hill, okay? This is what